Alright, guys, what's going on? It's Kage, and welcome to Vantuber episode 2, where I got another YouTuber who's pretty big in the community, I'd say, Guardian285. How you doing today,
Hello,
man?
everyone. Aye, not too bad. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. When you messaged me about this, I thought it could be a fun thing to do. So why not? I mean, no one else has asked me, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, I kind of got bored. I thought of this series because doing only deck profiles and like gear reviews kind of got boring. I mean, I did do a couple pack openings, but
Yeah.
I needed something to spice up the channel a little bit. So I'm like, you know what? Podcasts have been real popular these past couple years, so let me try my hand in something similar.
Yeah. I mean, something different in it. I mean, I'm no I'm no stranger when it comes to doing deck profiles. I'll tell you, but yeah, it can get a bit dull at times, but I do like to revisit decks every now and then just to give an update to them. You know what I mean? So.
Right, it's right. I mean, I know I recently did an updated budget Cyber Dragon because I had gotten my hands on some more cards that I didn't have access to originally.
Oh, cool.
And
Nice. So you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh as well?
yep, I actually talked about it in my first video. I played Yu-Gi-Oh for a while. I
Mm-hmm.
discovered Vanguard through Cyber Knight. I got into that, and then I've been back and forth between Vanguard and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah, I started off with Yu-Gi-Oh as well when I was like, what, 8 or 9 or something like that. So, yeah, I come from a similar background.
Oh, that was funny. I started Yu-Gi-Oh when I was 12. Now, that's kind of a funny story how I got my first deck. I was actually in gym class. We were doing something.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing something. I think I was doing like small hurdles or something. I somehow managed to lose my balance midair,
Mm.
and don't even ask me how that one was possible. But
Yeah.
instead of like pulling my arms in and like taking the hit and just rolling, I put my hands out instinctively. Like I couldn't even pull them back. It's like
Oh
my
God.
body just locked me in that position. I hit the
Yeah.
ground and I slid, and I broke my
Ooh.
finger.
Oh damn. Yeah. That's rough. That's
And
rough.
so the doctors had to move my finger around to put it, to get it where they needed it. And I was 12, but I had a bit of a sailor mouth, and the doctors understood. It hurts when you got to move a bone like that around.
Yeah. Definitely. I can imagine. Yeah.
Plus, I
Yeah.
mean,
That's
I
rough.
was 12. I mean, I'm a lot older now, so it's not. If that happened again, I might still curse every now and again, but I
I
mean,
don't
it's
blame
not
you.
going to be as bad. So my dad and I stopped at Toys R Us when that was still a thing,
Oh, true. Yeah.
and he said I could pick something out, and I saw the Yu-Gi-Oh decks, and I'd been watching the original anime. I know it was GX. That's actually how I found out about it.
All right. That's cool.
And
Yeah.
and I had
Yeah.
bought, and he had bought me a structure deck. I don't remember what it was called. All I remember is it had a lot of the battling boxers. It had Spiral Serpent. It had a spell card called Crashbug Road.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I remember how that deck, if that tells you anything.
Right. Yeah, I got into Yu-Gi-Oh through my older brother because I was into. I mean, the first card game technically I got into was Pokemon when I was like really little, and we didn't really play the game as much. We just like collected the cards and opened packs and that. But then Yu-Gi-Oh was like the first game that I learned to play mechanically. Um, which I mean, these days in case you want some info about me sort of likes and dislikes. But I am a dark magician, Andy. I do like I do like Yugi and sticking with his sort of magicians and that. But when I first started, I actually was really into like dragons and Blue Eyes, the rarity of it, like the anime used to give across, it used to make me like, oh man, Blue Eyes White Dragon, man, this is cool, like this is my jam. But as time went on, I kind of just went a little bit more in the spellcaster direction, and I got more attached to Dark Magician as the years went by.
Fair. I've it's kind of weird. I've been on and off. So I got that Battle and Boxer deck. Then I was out of the game. Then I came back. I got the starter deck Yu-Gi-Oh, which had all the pendulum monsters. Then when I fully came back, I got the Synchron Extreme structure deck.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And as of late, I've been bouncing between Rockets, not Rocket Dragon Link, just pure Rockets, Code Talkers, and the newest addition to the collection, DDD.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've I've got a friend that plays DDD, and he understands it a lot better than I ever will. Put it that way. There's a lot of stuff you can do with that deck. It seems.
Yeah, these days, yeah, it's amazing because these days Yu-Gi-Oh, with the DDD support we just got out of Battle with Chaos, Kepler King is basically a one card combo. The
Yeah,
Cali
yeah.
Effect showed a video where all he had was one copy of Kepler in hand, and he went from just that Kepler to having, if I remember correctly, it was High Flame King Genghis, the new rank 10, the Machina King. I can never pronounce that.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and a Griffin with two pendulum scales.
Right, right. Yeah,
That
it's
deck,
uh, it's it's pretty nutty what you can do with just one card now, isn't it?
yeah, back when, people say Yu-Gi-Oh is the hardest game to teach, and they're not wrong. I've tried to teach my girl Yu-Gi-Oh, and every time she's like, "This is too complicated. How do you even understand all this? Who
Yeah,
said I
yeah.
understand all this?"
Put it this way, it was a lot easier to teach it back in the caveman days of vanilla monsters, just basic effects. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
that's why I really like Speed Duel. I mean, I actually have a Dark Magician and XYZ Dragon Can Speed Duel deck. I
oh
feel
yeah.
like that format is super easy to teach people.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, we dipped into speed duels for it a little bit when it came out, and it didn't last too long with us, unfortunately, in our group. But it was fairly fun for like a couple of months, though. But it just didn't hold retention really with us.
Yeah, the one format I really enjoy that I hope Konami brings is Rush Duel.
Yeah, yeah. I actually I talked to one of my friends about this quite a bit, but the things they're doing in Rush Duel is like really cool. I don't know about you, but do you know how it's with V series with Vanguard how they started doing loads of retrains of units and that, but
Yeah.
then you look at Rush Duels and it's like, hey, they're kind of doing a similar thing here, but it's like it's its own format, it's its own thing. They've still got the master version of the game where it's like everything in the game, but they have more of a simplistic version of the game. And I, I don't know about you here, but when I learnt about the rule in Rush Duel, where it's like every turn you draw until you have like 5 cards in your hand, that really attracted me because it reminded me a lot of like an old Yu-Gi-Oh video game I used to play called Forbidden Memories, and I put so much time into that game when I was a kid, and I thought, yo, they've took the mechanic from that game. Good, because that was good because you just had more cards to play with, and yeah, I really do hope they bring that over into English at some point.
Yeah, I know back when I had played Yu-Gi-Oh, I thought you drew 5 cards, and every time I thought you had unlimited monster zones. I think the best board I ever
Harry.
had, not knowing the rules, was just a ton of beat sticks, and I just ran my opponent over. I
Oh
thought
yeah,
basically we played not Battle City, Duelist Kingdom rules, which.
yeah, same, same.
Now, I'm just curious, how did you find out about Vanguard?
I thought you might ask me this. So the funny thing, I don't know if you ever seen it or not, but I did do a video a few years ago where I kind of went over this, but uh, basically, to put it as a long story short, I was in college at the time, and put it this way, to put it in a mindset, I never really thought there would be another card game for me other than like, I dipped a little bit into Pokemon, a little bit into Magic the Gathering, but Yu-Gi-Oh was like my thing, and I didn't really think anything would really happen to it that would kind of deter me away from the game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I was in college, and my friend was sat next to me, just browsing the computer during a lunch break, and yeah, he came across an advertisement for it, and he looked into it a little bit, and he noticed that there were paladins in this game, with the clan, and he was aware that I had a bit of a history with World of Warcraft, so he brought this to my attention and went, "Hey mate, look, there's paladin in this game. So do you want to try this out?" And I looked into it as well, and I thought, "That looks kind of cool. Yeah, we could give that a go." So yeah, like you say with with making mistakes with Yu-Gi-Oh, when we were trying Vanguard for the first time, we both got unfortunately I wasn't able to pick up the IG trial deck immediately. We went to our local sort of card shop. It was like a shop called Forbidden Planet in town, and we picked up the only one they had was the Kai one. So we got two Kai trial decks, and then we were just like learning the game, see how it works. Um, and then yeah, we did dumb stuff like like there was one point where we both had like a grade 3 in the back row boosting our grade 3 Vanguard, and it's like, hang on a minute, this doesn't seem right, so yeah, so yeah, one thing led to another, and I had another friend in college who was a little bit more experienced with the game, and I remember at this time I'd managed to pick up the Aichi trial deck because I was more interested in the paladins. So I got that, and then he then got out his updated gold paladin deck with blonde Ezel, Garmor, and I'm like, oh god, like what's going on? I don't understand. He's doing this, he's doing that. What's a superior ride? Like things are going all over the place, and I was like, I'm using a trial deck, so I don't blame myself for getting stomped on at that day, but it was definitely a learning curve that day when I saw that. So I thought, man, there's a lot to this game than I thought there was. So yeah,
Yeah, when I first started learning, I thought rear guards had drive checks. I thought you didn't have to discard the
all right,
BG, which it's kind of funny how we both of us kind of played overdress before overdress was even an idea.
yeah, 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 that's very true. Yeah, it came full circle now apparently. So there it is.
Yeah,
Um,
it's. I feel like Vanguard is a much easier game to teach. I know I taught my
oh yeah,
friend. He learned overdress first, and then he wanted to learn V, so I brought in my Majesty Lord deck,
hmm
and I was looking through my decks. I'm trying to think what I had a good match to MLB, and wasn't sure as I had Night Rose and Luard out at the moment. We moved, and like now I have all my decks, so a lot more neatly organized. But before everything was just like kind of
all over the
everywhere,
place. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess Night Rose. Because Night Rose was probably my better bet. It was a lot. Well, I grabbed Luard accidentally because I was actually having to rush a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was taking the
So
bus because I didn't have a car, and it's like I was trying to rush out the door. I just grab what I thought was Night Rose. Well, we get on our break, we go down to the kind of lounge area as they call it, and I
mhm.
have Luard. So that wasn't even much of a match, more as it was just me going off and just showing off the power of Luard the clan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It does seem to be Luard the clan. Yeah, I mean, I think Dragonic Overlord has got a bit of that experience as well. It seems, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's been a meme ever since I got into it, which it's funny because I learned about it from Cyber Knight, but I didn't start with the V era. I started in G era.
Oh yeah, yeah.
VR was happening. It was around the time started at Codebreaker was a thing.
Hmm.
Is when I got into Vanguard as well, and
I see.
I don't know why I never wanted to get into V originally. Probably because I saw the Gear Chronicle and I thought that was a cool deck.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember when Gear Chronicle was coming out during G Series, and I think one of my friends was interested in it because it kind of reminded him a little bit about the gadget monsters and like Yu-Gi-Oh. It's like a sort of steampunk sort of look to it. Um, so that got his attention. And then we had the infamous problem with Gears later on in G with the time leap, which some remember fondly. Fans of the clan will like that, but those of us who had to suffer during that will remember it differently. So yeah, fortunately for me, I think I only knew one person at my locals that really liked doing that strategy. But for the most part, most of my friends had pretty different decks and clans, so it's quite varied across the group, really. So yeah, wasn't too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, I have my first deck, Vanguard deck I put together was a combination of Rallying Call of the Interspectral Dragon and Odyssey of the Interspatial Dragon.
I see.
No synergy, but then I got business. I didn't have much money going into Vanguard or Yu-Gi-Oh originally. I
Mm.
basically had to get smart, but I had gotten some money. I'm like, you know what? I've been wanting to build Zodiac for a while. Let me build ZTB, which I did. And
Mhm.
I feel like my friends and I all share the same opinion. ZTB is stronger, but Time Leap, you have more options.
Yeah, it does seem to be. Yeah, because I think I can't remember exactly when it was, but I remember ZTB got to the point where it was like it was just plussing a whole bunch. Whereas like the time leap was like very combo esque, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there was definitely a fair difference between them, but I mean, Gear Chronicles as a whole was just pretty strong throughout G. I mean, if you picked it up and kept going with it, you had a pretty stable clan throughout most of it. You see, during G series, it was kind of awkward for me because just for retrospect, but so obviously I've told you that I started with like the Kai and Aichi trial decks and it went from there. There was a little bit of a break during that until I think I looked into the Garmor trial deck and set 6 was coming out with Ezel. I know that during that time frame there was a bit of a awkward complication with the release in English. But yeah, I saw that Aichi was going into that, and I was already hooked to the anime at that point. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna follow Aichi. I'm gonna go into Golds, and I saw Ezel and I saw Garmon. I thought, yeah, those look pretty cool. I don't mind playing this, so let's go into that. Yeah, I went through Limit Break, went through Break Ride. Legion was short lived, but I don't think anyone misses that format as much. But it had its neat stuff going on, but it was kind of scuffed overall. But then we went into G, and G, I have you see, at the time when G was coming out, um, obviously the go-to assumption is that I'd probably go into like Alt Mile, right, with Royal Paladin, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't really like the aesthetic that much with Alt Mile initially, which, as the years have gone by, I do kind of regret that decision, which I do kind of wish I started with Alt Mile and G and then just followed, playing that deck throughout. But yeah, I kind of went all over the place with G because initially with G, I started with Nova Grappler with Victor, and I had that for about 6 months, I think, before then swapping over to something else. I think I picked up Fenrir later on at some point, which didn't last as long. But yeah, it was kind of like I got so used to having that identity with like Blaster Blade, Alfred, all like the classic units, and they kind of continued throughout the original arc up until the end of Legion. But then in G, it was kind of like I wasn't as accepting to move into something different in compared to where I am now. With like Overdress bringing out all these new ride lines and different things you can do. Yeah, so I do regret not picking up my Alt Mile at the time. I feel like it would have made G a better experience for me initially for like the first couple of years. But it wasn't until the IG Legend deck came out, which was when my hype just escalated from like 1 to 11. So yeah, 2017 was a good year for me during G, and it was short lived, unfortunately. But I played the hell out of that deck for like a solid year, so I'm not going to complain about that at all.
Yeah, I think for me, when I started, I kept in G, and G era is probably one of my favorite times just because of all the interesting stuff that they had.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was very because not only did you have the old card pool as well, and some weird interaction with the new G stuff, but when they started doing like legacy support in terms of like, I think it was what was it? I think it was 2016. I think where it was set 6. I think it was yeah, I think that was the one where Light and Dark Lu came out with Blaster Barkle and Floropald and Floggle. Zach gave like Blaster a very good boost, which I think at the time it was Blaster Thing Saver was like the main strategy, and I think it was like a tier 1 competitor at the time, which was kind of funny, really, because I mean I was building it just because because it's Blaster Blade, it's blasters, it's like let's go into this. But then also they did a Fighters Collection, I think, where they brought Mithril Ezel out as well with the G unit, and then shortly after that the set 7 with the now banned Wonder Ezel in premium format. But that was a cool little gimmick grade 2 that gave an old unit some nice support. So I did like how they handled um, like older stuff in G, giving that support to like bring it up to not necessarily the same power level as like a G focused deck, like a main grade 3 that has a stride effect. Because that was the one irritating thing I had to put up with is that a lot of the decks I was playing were like the old decks remade anew, but it really annoyed me how like everyone else's deck had like an on stride ability on their grade 3, but I'm using the old like the old grade 3s with like the new stuff, and it's like there's cool interactions to have there, but it also had some awkward complications as well with how that felt.
Yeah, I know. Probably I know how you feel. I finally switched over to V around the Tri 3 era when that set was getting ready to release.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
had basically built a really weird Shadow Paladin deck that I had
Mm-hmm.
talked about in the last episode. And then I bought the Alt Mile deck as I was stuck between Royals and Shadows. And
Oh, I see.
ultimately, I chose to go both, but I personally prefer the Shadow Paladins. And as
Ah,
I got
my
more,
enemy.
as I got more money, like as I started, getting being able to get more money, because
Hmm,
when you're
hmm.
like 14, 15, you can't just go out and buy hundreds upon hundreds of dollars of cards. I mean,
Oh no,
nobody in the card game community has done that.
no, dude, no.
No, we're responsible adults with our money. We don't see
Yeah,
a borderless full art card and spend $500 on it.
yeah.
Our
We
at
that
the
addiction to shiny cardboard, my dude. It's a
I
tough one.
I think I gotta stop. My horns are starting to grow. But
Oh god.
we didn't like I didn't. But as I started being able to drop more money on the game, I started getting more decks that I could compete better with. So I actually bought Majesty Lord off of my buddy. He
Mhm.
gave me a split for like $30, and I got MLB. It was real quick to upgrade. I just needed to buy 4 copies of Allen, and I had the deck complete.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah,
Uh,
that was a really good product that with MLB. It was a really easy, good solid deck to get at the time as well.
Speaking of MLB, I know me and my friends were talking. I forget where I saw this in a video, but Yu Gi Oh should consider doing something like what MLB did, where you spend. How much was that MLB deck? Like, wasn't it
Oh,
$50? I think.
um, I think it was more. I'm not too sure because, like, obviously over here we use pounds and euro, but I think when I was buying it, depending on where you got it from, because some shops had it for way more than others, but I managed to get mine for I think £70, I think each, which considering there were other places that were doing it for near 100, you needed to try to find a bit of discount where you could.
Right.
So
I
yeah,
feel
I think
like,
that does equate roughly to like $50, $60, I think, if I
yeah,
remember.
so, I mean, let's just say it was 50 for convenience sake. I
Mm-hmm.
feel Yu-Gi-Oh should do something like that where they give you a good deck. Like, it doesn't have to be meta. Like, yeah, they're not going to give you a sword. Konami's not going to give you a sword soul deck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
It,
gives,
I, mm,
but put a deck in there. Give them like the play sets of everything they need. So give that. So like I don't know. Let me just use Salamangreat for example. That's an easy deck to learn. I
yep,
mean,
yep. I was
so
thinking exactly the same thing, to be fair, because it baffles me that Konami still haven't like evolved in a way to the point where it's like they haven't concepted the idea yet that Vanguard has pretty much made a norm now, which is to create decks with play sets of stuff, right? Because I mean, I suppose in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like because you can get like these structure decks for like maybe 8 or 10, whatever it is. Um, I mean, $30 roughly is like roughly what you could do with maybe in Vanguard, but I don't know. It's still weird to me how you only get one copy of cards in the decks for Yu-Gi-Oh still,
yeah, the
which
important ones.
yeah. I mean, I suppose it'd be kind of funny to like open a brand new structure deck on its own and then, fight it with another structure deck on its own, like without putting anything in. So I suppose that's one aspect of it that could be fun. But I don't know, maybe it's just the way they've been doing it over the years and then they've kind of just thought, it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know what I mean? So
Which is fair. If it works, why change it? But I feel for like people who maybe are more experienced or even somebody new, instead of picking up say 3 copies of Cyber Strike, like let's say they watched Reigns and they really loved Salamangreat, which I'm not gonna lie, that is a very interesting deck. I like it.
oh yeah,
They
yeah,
could
it's
go to Walmart or their local game store, whatever, and then it'll come with a deck box. It doesn't have to be crazy quality, but don't make it real cheap either.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it
like some
comes
sort
with
of like premium sort of product that would like
right,
it's got a price tag to it, but you're getting your worth out of it.
right. So you get the deck box, you get you get Konami sleeves. Maybe you decide to buy over sleeves because we all know how the Konami sleeves are.
Yeah, yeah, true.
You get your Salamangreat deck with your playset with the playset of everything you need. So you get like your 2 circles, your 3 spinny, your 3 foxy, like basically a playset of all the important cards. And then they give you a full extra deck, and maybe if they're feeling generous, give you like a basic side deck so you can start learning siding.
Yeah, true. Because
And
that's one aspect that they don't really teach that much, really, when it comes to products. I don't think.
right, and then you get all that for like 50 or $60. And
Mm.
another thing they need to honestly do, I would love to see them do is extended art cards.
Yeah, yeah. I remember watching a video about that. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, bringing up the because I know that with games like Magic the Gathering, they've been doing that a lot more recently, where they do like the extended art and full board like board list sort of stuff, and even Vanguard does that as well with its sort of full art cards and special rarities and that. So
Yeah, I think
um,
Yu-Gi-Oh is the only game. Hell, even Dragon Ball, you get borderless cards in struct and starter decks.
oh really? Wow.
I after this is done, I'll have to pull out my Vegito deck, but in the structure deck, you got a full art Gogeta Pursuit of Power, which looks awesome. If
That's sick.
every other card game except Yu-Gi-Oh does this, and my friends are like, well, Rush Duel. I'm like, okay, but Rush Duel doesn't have Fireball Dragon. Rush Duel doesn't have enter a card here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
It's one of those elements to why I do hope Bristol will come over because the art in that is fantastic. I think it looks great.
right, and it's one of those things too. It's if they were to, I would love to have a full like rocket or full code talker deck of nothing but extended arts. I would pay money for it too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it was the El Dorado set where they started like. I feel like they've dipped a bit more into like the alternate art stuff because like I know that IP, Unicorn stuff like that. They got alternate arts in the El Dorado set, so it'd be nice to sort of see a bit more of that with like some sort of classic staples at this point. Because obviously they've been doing alternate arts like for years, like we know how many like different artworks that Dark Magician and Blue Eyes have, but it's nice to see that they're doing more of that sort of treatment with some other staple like cards that are used quite a bit across different decks.
Right, I know the biggest concern is Konami will super short print the extended art cards if they were to ever do it. And
Fortunately, yeah.
I mean, the sad thing is, I have to agree because they're known to short print the hell out of certain cards. And I think it was in, what was it, the Kaiba collection where you got the three mega packs. I've heard rumors that Ash Blossom was short printed.
I believe so. Yeah. I think some of the hand traps were okay to get, like Ghost Ogre, but yeah, I do remember things like Ash Blossom and probably some other things I can't really remember because I mean that was a while back now. I think. Um, but yeah, I mean they do this all the time. It seems with any sort of set really. Like even if it's not like a side set or a reprint set or a main set, there just always seems to be that carrot on the stick that they want you to go for. That they're just going to make really hell to get basically.
Yeah, I remember I bought a access code for 97, and I had
Mm.
actually. It was funny because you can't really see it in my videos, but I have a lot of ink on my. Well, I don't want to say a lot, but I have ink on my body.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
yeah, and I was over at my artist getting getting one of my tattoos done,
Mhm.
and me and him somehow got talking about trading cards. And I showed him access code, which at that point was going for I think $130. He's like,
Oh my
"Holy
god.
shit! People pay that much?" I'm like, "Hey, I just spent 600 on a tattoo." So of
Mm.
course, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
there is a difference though.
yeah. I suppose one's like an actual aesthetic that you can get attached to your body, and another one is cardboard.
I mean,
It's a bit
you
of a difference.
you can attach it, but you might not be able to be used after.
True, yeah, very true.
But yes, plus I mean, there's a sign on the shop that I love that says "Good tattoos ain't cheap, and cheap tattoos ain't good."
Hey, I mean that's true. That's definitely true. But yeah,
So,
um,
what inspired you to actually start your channel? I know we've been kind of going off, and I
yeah,
just feel
yeah. I
like
mean,
the
it's been fun just to bounce, between different things. I wasn't too
yeah.
sure if there'd be like a structure to it, but I
I
do like
mean,
the bounce back and forth with the
yeah, I
chat sort of thing.
kind of
So
wanted to do that originally. That's kind of what I did with episode one, but it just felt too robotic.
yeah, I
It,
agree.
it's
Yeah,
just
I
like
mean,
it's just like, how did you find out about Vanguard? How did you? What inspired you to do your YouTube channel? How did you
mhm.
start? Like, it just felt too unnatural. So this more bouncing, I definitely think, is a lot
Yeah, I
better.
wanted to try like make this into a chat, if you know what I mean, like rather
Yeah,
than like an interview or something.
yeah.
It's weird from my perspective because like me being interviewed, like because I'm a YouTuber, it's like wow, I never thought I'd make it. Like here I am, mom, I made it, mom. Like
I mean, I have a small channel of 18 subs. You have, I think, over how many? Like 10,000?
I think it's oh no, I wish, I wish I've had for the most part like 1.5K subs on average, but yeah, to go to your question though, how I got into YouTube. So way back in the day, before I even thought about doing a YouTube channel, I used to watch a lot of Simply Unlucky with like Yu-Gi-Oh openings when I was younger, and I always liked his like enthusiasm when it came to like the video because you never really saw that in other openings. Like he always brought like the hype and the excitement, and he lost his marbles when he got like the really rare card or something. So yeah, he was one of my favorite like content creators for a really long time, and he's still going today, which is cool to see. But yeah, it's like I mean, I'm trying to think of like other content creators I used to watch back then. There was like Galactic God was like a main Yu-Gi-Oh channel that I watched back then. Obviously, this is during the time when Yu-Gi-Oh was sort of like my main thing. And this is like when I started getting the idea of maybe making a YouTube channel, but I kind of thought, would I be any good at it? I don't know. But yeah, I suppose another channel that I thought gave me the confidence that I could maybe do it was he actually has a Vanguard channel as well. Actually, I watched a lot of Kia Twig videos for Yu-Gi-Oh and Vanguard because I know he's got Kia Qualia for Vanguard as well. But yeah, when I made a return to Yu-Gi-Oh, I remember one of the first decks I saw was a Dragoonity deck profile, and it was just the simplistic way that he made the video, like, just put a playmat down, put the cards down, and just talk about why you play them. I thought, I mean, I could do that, I could maybe do that. But then it's like the idea of, but I need like a good camera, I need like a place to record, because, in case you're wondering, by the way, like whenever I do a deck profile, it's basically just me putting the playmat on my bed, because I used to do it on a table before, that I used to pull out from the side, like a fold-up table, but that started to get a little bit like jittery and awkward. So then I had the idea of maybe just doing it on the bed with the playmat on, and that's been working fine so far, because the benefit is that my window is like in a good angle with the bed, so I can get like a good lighting as well. So yeah, that worked out. But just to wind back, I do this a lot. I go off like a tangent on something.
Hey, that's
But
part of the whole thing. Like I said, this feels a lot more natural than just being super robotic and feeling like you're at a job interview.
yeah. Um, so let's see. Yeah. So I can't fully remember. So I used to have so before the Guardian285 channel, I used to have a channel before this called Guardian Circle. And that was a channel that I made for Yu-Gi-Oh at the time, obviously. But then as I did more deck profiles with Yu-Gi-Oh, I thought, you know what, I could probably bring Vanguard into this as well. And I think the first ever Vanguard deck profile that I did was my Liberator deck from the Break Ride era. I just gotten hold of my Liberator Alfreds and got the deck pretty well constructed to the point where I felt like, this I feel confident with this. I feel I could show this off, and anyone that's interested in Vanguard on that channel could check the stuff out. But yeah, it was very far in between content that I used to do for Vanguard. But the main shift over when I created my Guardian285 channel was that I kind of fell out with Yu-Gi-Oh when Links came out, because it was very awkward how like you needed like the arrows to put your synchros and XCs and fusions on, if you didn't want to like trap them in the extra monster zone. It was very rough at that time because I had I had a fair few casual decks on me that kind of relied on those sort of mechanics, and it felt kind of shitty to just lock it out like that with the link zone, like the extra monster zone and all this stuff. So yeah, that kind of put a spanner in me passion for Yu-Gi-Oh at the time. I've slowly returned to it recently, like very recently. I've like slowly got back into the game, but yeah, that was sort of like the point to why I made the transition over to prioritizing Vanguard as like the main thing that I wanted to do all the time. And yeah, I think I made my channel. Oh, I think it was 2015 if I remember, or 2016. Yeah, and then there was actually a gap, I think, in terms of the content, because I started out Guardian285 to continue doing Yu-Gi-Oh stuff because I basically had binned my older channel at that point, just because it was like, I don't know, I wasn't particularly happy with it at the time, and I kind of wanted that fresh restart. So yeah, with Guardian285, I did a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but then, like I said, I just prioritized Vanguard at a certain point and just continued with that, I think. And that's kind of like the main content that I do now these days, which, that's fine with me. That's completely fine with me.
Yeah, I know when Lynx came out, a lot of people were not happy because it's like basically you were forced to run Lynx, or you can only control one monster at one extra deck monster, which for a lot of decks hurt because a lot of decks relied on having multiple cards out at a time, and unless you bought, I don't even remember what I know the original three were Honeybot, Link Spider, and Decode, but
Mm,
unless you bought those cards, you essentially couldn't use your old decks unless you played with friends where you just said the extra monster zone doesn't exist.
yeah, yeah,
Which,
yeah. That's what we used to do for a fair bit of time.
yeah, and then once MR5 came out, everybody was happy because, I feel like MR5 is the true Master Rule 4. That's what it always should have been.
Definitely. Yeah,
But,
definitely.
they can't sell Reigns and all the Link monsters if you're able to just, summon all your monsters to the main monster zone.
Yeah, very true. Very true. But
And
yeah, I mean, Links were. I think like the game's in a much better position now, like you said with MR5 with Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, like I said, I only just started getting back into it recently. The main thing I like when I got out of Yu-Gi-Oh, I kind of like just dipped out completely. Like I got rid of all of my old stuff, and the only things I held onto at the time was like I think my Dark Magician stuff. I kept some like evil hero stuff because that was like a cool hero archetype that didn't really see too much attention. But I always liked the evil heroes. And like when Jaden was like evil in the anime, I thought, oh damn, like Goody Boy, Good Boy Two Shoes has gone evil. This is cool. Um,
reminds
so
reminds me of when
I
Aishi went dark.
oh yeah, yeah. I had to keep that stuff as well. And I think I kept some like alien stuff as well, but I think those ended up getting shifted at some point. So there was like a couple of things that I wanted to hold on to definitely because I just couldn't see myself getting rid of them completely. But I did get rid of all of my extra stuff to like some friends and that, and I sold like a big part of my collection away just so I could solely focus on Vanguard as like, my main thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy how far like just the games in general, like in the aspect of like Yu-Gi-Oh and Vanguard as well, and just the differences there are between the TCGs. Yeah, I do feel like I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh yesterday at locals, and it was fun. Like we did have some fun in it, but to say that like it's an action-packed card game, I feel like I get that more out of Vanguard, if you know what I mean. Like Vanguard definitely has that punch and that sort of like thrill of the game that you're looking for, I think. Whereas Yu-Gi-Oh feels a lot more like it's a bit more chess orientated with like the placement of your cards, the combo lines and stuff like this. But I mean,
Yeah,
there's enjoyment in both games. You just got to like look for it, basically.
yeah, I know. Around here, Vanguard. I put you this way: I went to Yu Gi Oh locals, and all the tables were packed. And then I go back on Sundays. I wanted to pick up some. I wanted to see if my game store had gotten the Dragon Shield Japanese matte sleeves in yet, the clear matte ones.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
it was Vanguard locals day because they switch between Vanguard and Digimon, and there was only maybe 7 or 8 people at most. And I mean, Bushy Road has been promoting it a little more lately, but I still feel Bushy Road needs to do more. They need to put out an official simulator. I mean, it only
Oh
took
yeah.
Konami however long to do Master Duel.
The thing that frustrates me with that is like even when Dueling Book or like way back in the day, Dueling Network was like the thing for like a Yu-Gi-Oh simulator, and then obviously you had like Dev Pro as well. It's like it's not surely that more difficult, right? Because if you look at like Duel Links, for example, that's the exact same field setup that Vanguard uses. You know, you've got three zones in the front and the back, and then it's like, could we not just make like a simulator that's similar to Dueling Network or Dueling Book and make a Vanguard skin? You know what I mean? Like, because even just that on its own, because I use Dueling Book a lot to help, create like deck lists and that, and it's really convenient to like look at it on the screen like in a full picture. And I really wish there was like a simulator like that for Vanguard. And I know we have Card Fight Area, but I'm going to be honest, like, I really appreciate the fact that we have a simulator, and it's, I mean, they've updated it a lot recently with Overdress and the recent changes that they've made. It looks way, way better than it used to. But I think it's disingenuous to think that it's perfect. I still think it's a little bit scuff here and there, but it's kind of it's doing what it can to supply something to the community that we can at least test online with. So if Vanguard can, like, I really hope they look at Master Duel and be like, yo, we could do something like that for Vanguard. And I mean, the crispness and the animations on Master Duel, they're just so tasty and so good, dude. Like, could you imagine, like, I'm just thinking, like, slapping, like, an Alfred down and, like, a big animation coming up, and they could put, like, the animation of, like, the circles lighting up as well when you put the cards down, and there's so much possibility that they could do with such an idea like that. So I hope they look at Master Duel and get inspired by it, and then at some point in future, maybe we could have a solid simulator that gives us like a clean experience and like an epic online gameplay that we can do.
Yeah, I know for me, um, I just lost my train of thought. Damn it. Oh yeah, now I remember. I use Untap mainly because that for me trying to get card fight area is such a pain. So I need
Mm-hmm.
some sort of other software as well, and I don't exactly feel like going through the hassle of all that. So I just use OnTap because I that's a lot more accessible for me and it's easier to test decks.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
So
blame you because, like, I mean, I've had Car Fight Area just shit the bed like way too many times. Um, but I mean, it's nice that we have something at least. But man, even if we could just have like a dueling book or at some point in future a master duel, that would be great.
yeah,
Because I know that I remember I think it was a Vanguard Insider. He was talking about like master duel and hopes that Bushiroad looks at this and makes something for Vanguard similar to this, right? Because the thing is as well. I'm pretty sure most other TCGs have an online platform like this, right? Because Pokemon have the TCG online.
yeah.
You've got
Magic
MTG with
has,
Arena.
and the thing is, I this is something about Magic that I don't understand. Is why don't they take a page out of Pokemon's book where they put codes in their product and then you can put it
Yeah.
into the I like I'm not a big Magic fan. Like I play Commander with my friends on occasion, but
Oh yeah,
I
same. Yeah.
I like Tolarian Community College. And even the
Yeah, yeah.
professor has said a couple times that he doesn't understand why Wizards of the Coast doesn't take a page out of Pokemon's book. Because think about it, Pokemon is really popular because one, you can play the game online, and two, you get rewarded for buying the physical product because you
Yeah, yeah.
get the code, you put it into the online thing, and then you get that same product online, and you can literally build. Like if you have let's say you buy two decks, I don't know, the Zacian V, League Battle
Yeah.
deck. If you buy two of those, and you buy say 10 booster packs of whatever, and you put those codes in and you somehow get lucky and pull the exact same cards that you need, which
Mm.
that those chances if you get those odds, I'm telling you to go play the lottery. But you
Yeah.
can literally
Yeah, definitely.
play your deck. Like I have my IRL code talkers on dueling on a master duel, and that was easy.
Hmm.
But I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh should probably start implementing something like that. Same thing with Wizards with their game.
Yeah, yeah. It's because I think Pokemon's been doing the online codes for a really long time now, so it is odd that the other TCGs haven't like caught on to that in a way. But
Yeah,
I mean, they've got their own way of doing things, I guess. But
the other
it would be nice if that did happen.
yeah, the other thing about Konami, I know a lot of people are happy with, and is double sleeving because
Oh,
before you can
dude,
only
yeah.
single, and actually that's how I found your channels. I was looking for Vanguard oversleeves, and
Oh my god.
I had stumbled upon your video of the clear mats,
Hmm.
which is when
Yeah,
I picked them up. Is I had been using the Dragon Shield mats for my Yu-Gi-Oh decks. So when I saw
hmm.
your video, I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. So I did, and I loved them. And then I had a
Yeah, yeah,
friend in one of the Discord servers on me. He's like, hey, guess what? Dragon Shield's finally releasing Japanese size overseas. I'm like, wait, what?
yep,
And I
yep.
immediately thought of you, but I'm like, wait, I don't want to message Guardian unless it's confirmed because I don't want to waste your time by saying, getting you hype like, oh, guess what? Dragon Shield's releasing, Vanguard size oversleeves, and then it turns
Yeah, yeah,
out, they decide to say April Fool's early. But
yeah.
once I
I
got
don't you worry about wasting my time. I do that enough as it is. So if someone else can do it for me, by all means. But
right, so once I saw the confirmation, I sent you that message, and I had said, hey, guess what? Official oversleeves for Dragon Shield for Vanguard and Yu Gi Oh! And I had a went then I was looking for them, but my local game store didn't have them, so I just bought them off at
yeah,
TCG, and I love them. I mean, I've
oh,
I've
they're a godsend. Yeah, like oversleeves. I remember watching a really old oversleeve video for Vanguard. I can't remember the channel for the life of me, but I remember it was like one of the most viewed videos for looking at oversleeves. And I mean, the dude that did the video did a good job showing them off because it was the Bushy Road like official sleeves, the clear ones. And I thought, oh, okay, well they look nice, they look slick. I thought, okay, we'll try pick some of those up. So obviously, I tried to go get some, and the only way I can get them is on eBay. So I'm like, okay. Um, but then the other issue is that they cost an arm and a leg to buy because it's like 10, 15 maybe for the item, and then maybe 10 or 5 for postage or whatever, right? So you're paying like a pretty steep price for them to get them from overseas in to where you are, and I always hated that. And then also, I mean, the sleeves themselves were fine for like maybe a month or two, but obviously the issue was that they were glossy as well, so they used to get sticky and just horrible to shuffle with it like very quickly. So I was like, man, if there was like a clear oversleeve that had the Ultra Pro sort of matte feel on the back of it, that would be like perfect, right? So I had to deal with oversleeve issues for years, up until I think the one I sort of stuck with for a long time, like to cope with, was basically just like the normal Ultra Pro, cheap standard sleeves. Like those were like the easier ones to get. Because that was one of the other things that annoyed me with oversleeves as well was that accessibility was kind of just atrocious. Like in trying to pick them up in any sort of way. Um, so yeah, I remember you messaged me about that with the Japanese Dragon Shields, and I thought, um, by then I'd used the standard size Dragon Shield matte clears for such a long time because I discovered those originally through Solemn because
yeah.
he was using those in a fight video, and I thought, wait, why do his clear sleeves have like a gritty texture to them? Like, what's going on here? And then I thought, yo, what sleeves do you use? So that's how I found out about Dragon Shield and their sleeves, and then yeah, I mean, it took a while, but we eventually got Japanese sized oversleeves with that, matte texture that I've been looking for like years at this point. So yeah, that product is like a godsend product. It's like I've been waiting for something like that for ages, and I kind of blame you, but I've bought so many of those damn things recently.
Hey,
It's not even funny
you're
anymore.
welcome.
Like,
I mean, yes, I know. I've been after I discovered your video on those, I'm like, oh, cool. And I've been using I used those for the longest time because Vanguard was the only card game I knew that actually let you double sleeve.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I mean, for Overdress, the only deck I have sleeved like that is my Orphist because I have the Team Blackout sleeves. But my
Oh,
other
nice.
decks, I because you have to have different sleeves for the ride deck. I like having kind of like a color theme match. Like with Bruce, I have black and purple, which match the dark state.
Oh, yeah,
Nirvana
yeah.
is red and yellow because Dragon Empire, fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's big brain stuff. Yeah, that's really good.
yeah, Bastion
Yeah.
was my. I remember as I was talking with my parents and everything. There was a lot of craziness that had happened with my dad, and he eventually passed away. But I know I was talking with them,
Mhm.
and I had said about I was interested in the Bastion trial deck for Christmas, which was only like $5, and
Mhm.
I know my mom had given me one of my presents earlier. I was trying to figure out what it was, so I opened it as the Bastion deck. I'm like, well,
Oh,
damn.
sick.
So those I have
Nice.
like a yellow and I don't know what the color. It's kind of like a probably like a turquoise teal. It's like a
Yeah,
lighter
yeah.
blue. So that matches I kind of think that matches the royalty type look.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good mesh. I see that a lot actually with Richard from Nexus Corps, where he'll have like a different offset colors for the inner and outer sleeve, and I'll be honest, like sometimes I want to do that as well, but I'm too attached to these over sleeves and my character sleeves right now, so it's kind of like maybe at some point, yeah, I might do that. But I did do it with some decks, but
Yeah.
it's like I do like having my Toya sleeves on like my Bastion deck and that. So yeah,
Yeah, as
but
of right now, my Bastion deck is literally every Keter grade 3 I pulled from my booster box and
all
just
right,
two
yeah,
grade 1s. I never thought I would get into Bastion, and it's one of those things I'm hesitant to drop money on Bastion because I have to ask myself the question of how often will I actually play this deck? Because I don't want
yeah,
to spend money to upgrade Bastion to Mac to the full power just to have it look pretty.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like if I'm gonna spend it, I want to play it, and if I'm not playing it, then I mean it works as it is. I mean Bastion is all doesn't care what grade threes you get from the drive check.
That's the cool thing, I suppose, is that you can always like alter the deck in terms of what you have available, because Bastion doesn't really, like you said, he doesn't care about what the grade 3 is. It's just as long as it's a grade 3. So
Yeah,
you can kind of like customize it around that, which is pretty cool.
the one thing I really wish they would have done with the grade 4 is give Bastion, I think it's a die liner for Dimension
Oh, for
Police.
DP.
Chris would know this one better, but I think die liner is the one that gives all your grade 3s plus 5 shield.
I believe so. Yeah. I've got a mate of mine who's a DP nut, and yeah, I think it's Eyeliner that's the shield
Right. I,
increase for the
I
grade
know there
threes.
are some, or you would notice you're a Bastion main. I've been maining Orphis a lot lately, but I know there's that grade 3 angel that gives itself shield, and I've heard there are orders that give shield too.
Yeah. So like, I think it was I think it was Coca Beale in set one. She could give you some shield, depending on the number of grade threes you had in the field, which was not too bad. But I will say, it's a good segue into the newly released Cardfight Vanguard Set 4 for Overdress, coming soon to shops. But yeah, anyway. Um, but yeah, they brought out a new grade 3, which is actually really, really good. It basically says that when your grade 2 or greater unit is being attacked, when this unit is put on the Guardian Circle, you can give that unit 10k. But then if it's a grade 4 card with obviously Bastion Prime, you can give it 20k instead. But I mean, it just fixes one of the main issues, which was, the early game was so vulnerable for Bastion. You were more or less getting keeled over and put to like 4 to 5 damage instantly in the early game. So then, hopefully, if you had a strong enough late game, you could capitalize on that counterblast with things like Alden and stuff, and then maybe just whammy the opponent. But I mean, yeah, the early game was pretty rough, and that card's actually not too bad. It's only a common as well, which is pretty good. So yeah, it's easy to pick up, and it gives you a pretty good amount of shield to work with for the early game, and then when you get the Bastion Prime, that can then give you a bit more shield there as well, which is pretty nice. So, but yeah, the Bastion is a peculiar case for me because I I love Bastion's aesthetic. Like when I was looking up the new start decks, obviously I see Keter and I'm like, yep, that's easy. Okay, so I'm going into Bastion going like, all right, let's do this, and it's a really strange like feeling initially because you got this all these new mechanics of overdress and different deck theory builds and all this. You got a deck full of grade threes. The Morikawa dream is alive finally, and
I know
it's
the joke is this timeline Morikawa is working with the company who prints the card fight cards and made his deck a reality.
yeah,
Speaking of, actually, I just want to get your opinion because me and my friends have been debating this. In
yep,
the lore, Vanguard Overdress is the successor to G, Cray wise. The
mm,
problem is, though, like we don't see the animation like we did originally. So, do you think it still takes place in the same universe where it's the Earth is different because or somehow past? I don't know. Like the way I explain it, like in Death Note, the Shinigami realm and the Earth, like Earth time, are different. Like one Earth day is like 1,300 something Shinigami days. I know I
I
messed
see.
that up. But is it something
Um,
like that, or is the overdress realm taking place in a more realistic version, which is why we don't see the animations like we did in V and the original series?
yeah. Um, that's a good question. Because I do like to talk about this sort of stuff with some friends, and yeah, it's like because I know that the premise initially with the trailer, it was setting up like, Gizeh got like destroyed, and then it basically just nuked Bermuda's home, basically. It looks like, um, but then it's like that's then caused the planet to change in a way. So obviously now we have like the nation system and all this. So I don't know. It's like obviously it's the successor to G, so I'd like to think that it is the same universe. But then it's like if it's the same universe, I was actually talking to a friend last night about this. Was I think when they initially gave us the premise of Overdress and like the story and the setting, I think the creator initially said that this is when they were talking about the potentials of we got these new characters, these new units, and all this. But is there any possibility at all to potentially see old characters or old units return in some aspect? Which obviously we did see eventually that in set two. We got the encounter cards with Overlord and Phantom Blaster Dragons. So that then begged the question. I was, we were hypothetically thinking of this in terms of like, could you imagine a season where it's like, I don't know, season 5 or 6 or whatever the hell, right? Way in the future. Um, and then we get to the point where, all the overdressed characters have kind of like grown. They've got like some new stuff with decks and all this. They've grown as characters. They're peaking right now, right? And then they get to the point where they're in a massive stadium, like tournament wise, and then there's like completely no setup like for this to happen. But then suddenly, at the end of an episode, it'll be like, all right, and for the final match, we have, Blackout versus, and then it pans to the camera, and then you just see Ichikai and Ren stood there together with their encounter decks ready to go. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, something
it's
I liked to think of is I've just used the example like if this takes place like 30 years in the future, so Kai and them will be a lot
true.
older. So I think Kai was in his 20s at the end of the G. I
Mm,
don't know the exact ages, but Kai would be older, maybe his, he's still, seen as the best of the best. But
Mm-hmm.
at this point, he has kids and grandkids, and like basically his days of competing in the circuit are over. So he hands
Yeah,
his
that's
deck down to his grandson. Same thing with Ren. Ren hands his deck down to his like son or grandson or whoever it is, which would be
mhm.
the stride, like their stride decks, not the new subs. They're still sticking
Oh,
with
I see. Yeah, yeah,
Diablos and Overlord. So somehow the grandson of either Ren or Kai, I like to think Ren because I own Phantom Blaster, but like
of course. Yeah, naturally.
the grandson of Ren will wander into the Wonder Hill Park, which I still don't understand why they play in an abandoned park.
Yeah, true. I was
I
in class, dude. Go to a card club. You know what I mean?
I don't I don't get it. I mean, is it because they're trying to be roguish or edgy, or I don't understand it, but so basically the grandson of Ren sees, let's just say, Donji is the strongest. So he flips up, so they start, he's not playing the ride deck, he's playing, and everybody's so confused why he has cards on the side where the order zone is, and then
I
we
see.
just
Yeah,
see the Diablos again, or the Overlord if you want to go Kai's route, and basically everybody might be going nuts because it's like, that's Ren's deck, that's Kai's deck, how the hell did you get a hold of that? And it's like,
yeah,
oh, that's my grandfather, and everybody, and I would just love to see that deck crush the new stuff. Like, I love Bruce, I
yeah,
love Nirvana and all that, but just like seeing the old, like the back and forth. I mean, the overtrigger might do something. Obviously, those decks didn't have overtriggers back then,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
That's
somebody, you have some sort of lucky thing where maybe Donji gets lucky, but just the raw power of Diablos is enough to overwhelm Bruce. Because
yeah, yeah,
I don't remember how many attacks that deck could get, but I think it could get a few depending on your cards that you ran in the deck.
yeah. It's definitely got multi attack potential. I'm sure.
Yeah, which
Um,
I feel like that would be something interesting. I would love to see Bushy do in the future, but I know a lot of people were so sick of it because when set 2 was revealed and the encounter cards were revealed, everybody was like, really, again?
yep. I had a couple of friends like that as well, but it's it was kind of annoying on my side of things because I mean I'm quite generally quite open to anything really, and a lot of other content creators also made the same argument, which is like I know we went through 3 years of V series with nostalgia bombing and all this, but I mean at the end of the day, these iconic units they're iconic for a reason, right? So you look at a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, they have their icons like Dark Magician and Blue Eyes, and they still get new cards today. So as long as they're sticking to this premise of like, they've got this 10-year plan with Overdress, and I do hope they, continue with it and keep it expanding forward, And, they did say that they don't want Vanguard to be a rotating game, they want you to get your stuff and then hold on to that for like a
Right.
long, long time. So yeah, it's, I mean, yeah, the sad thing about it, I think overall, it's like, I can understand the frustration, but I also just kind of like the fact that we do get to keep these iconic units around for a little bit longer and sort of keep their legacy going for the impact that they had initially when Vanguard was like new and everything and like that. So I mean to say, obviously you'll know that I did a did a video when I was reacting to the reveal of Blaster Blade and set 5 stuff, and I quite reasonably lost my shit. Um, I was completely sold on the idea that because Keta Sanctuary had already got given an encounter card with Phantom Blaster Dragon, I thought, they might do another clan or something from the past, and or a different nation will get a new encounter line and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I remember just seeing that drop that day, and then I just I lost my marbles, and I thought, oh my god, it's some people saw it coming, but then I didn't because I just sold myself in the idea that they wouldn't do it for at least another year. But here we are. So yeah, I still have mad respect for like the old stuff. So I'm always gonna have that nostalgia dose every time I see something like that. But so it doesn't like annoy me as much because I respect that stuff and I always will like it. But I will say it was refreshing to have that fresh coat of paint with overdress and to have new units that people can attach themselves to. Similar like to how G was really, with like, Gergwit, Altmile, all these like, main units that you had during the G series. It did reflect that quite a bit as well with overdress. So yeah, I mean, it's everyone's to each their own. You can not like it, you can like it, but at the end of the day, it's a game. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
just do what you want.
I built PVD because I love the Shadow Paladin, obviously, and I couldn't get the V Series PVD because I paid about $53 for the deck as a
Hmm.
whole with having no Keter cards. Like, obviously, I didn't pick up the Overtrigger, I didn't pick up the fancy PGs,
Hmm. Yeah,
but for the basic stuff, it cost me 53, and that would have been the same price I would have had to pay for a playset of Viera Phantom Blaster.
yeah. I suppose there is definitely a lot more like flexibility now with overdress. Like it doesn't feel too expensive. I don't think. Like I
Well,
looked at I was actually looking at some Nirvana stuff last night because a friend of mine is thinking about picking up the overdress cards basically for the Verena stuff. And yeah, I was looking at Arcs, I think, and on Card Market for the EU, it's not that bad. I think it was like €4 to €5 or something like that. So, I
uh,
mean, even some of the older cards still have a pretty affordable price, I think, for the most part.
speaking of price, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, but I was going through Vanguardians a little bit as I was kind of browsing Facebook before I went to bed. And apparently, Bushiroad is going to be raising the price of their stuff because of demand and things being at a higher cost right now because of
Yeah.
issues going on in the world with, COVID and,
Mm.
now I don't even like getting political, but with this whole Russia Ukraine thing, I
Yeah.
I I hate politics. I don't get into it. It's a waste of
Same,
time.
dude. Yeah, I've no. I mean, maybe if I got into it more and like understood things a bit more. I think it's the problem that I just don't care. That's why I just don't get involved with it that much. But
Yeah, but
I'm just a card game player, dude. Just let me get some cards and a table, and let's have a game. That's
yeah,
all I want.
for for me, I mean, I kind of like the fact it was a little bit cheaper. Like, I opened up my very first Vanguard booster box on camera. That was my first box of a set ever. I
Oh, cool,
don't
nice.
buy sealed product. I prefer buying the singles. So I
Yeah,
actually have
same.
a friend who I taught MLB with. He's like, "So what sets could I pull have this card?" I'm like, "Bro, don't buy the sets. Go to TCG Player and buy the cards separately." He's like,
Yeah.
"Why?" I'm like, "Because you actually get what you want. I get supporting Bushiroad. I get supporting the maker of the card game. But if I'm trying to pull a specific card for a deck, I only buy a box because that's all I can afford. I'm not guaranteed the cards I need, let alone the amount I need. Whereas if I go to TCG Play or Card Market for the UK, I can pick up the cards I need and at a better price."
Yeah. That's definitely the way to go about it. I mean, because what would you rather do? Would you rather spend, $50 or whatever on a random stuff that you may end up not using or can't trade or something, or would you rather use that 50 to directly buy the things you're wanting? You know what I mean?
Alright,
So
opening boxes is fun. It's one of those I've never done it before. I mean, I've opened up Yu-Gi-Oh packs and stuff separately, but I've never actually spent the money on a box. So when I did and I
yeah,
opened it, it's like, This is fun. I mean, I did get a lot of stuff no, I don't want to say I needed. Like, I got some of the brew stuff. I got some Gravity, not Gravity. I got some Gravity. I got some Greed on. I'm glad I got a ton of Great 3s for Bastions. I was in need of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's the main thing with pack openings in general. You should be looking at it for the experience of just opening a booster pack, right, or a box, right? It's that thrill of the hunt and the unexpected, scenarios of pulling that high rarity card or, getting the thing that you wanted, right? But yeah, I mean, if you're buying it's basically, if you think about it, like booster packs are kind of like the old school loot box, right? So you're not guaranteed to get the thing you want, but there's
Yeah,
a chance, and it's fun. But
I know I was mainly hunting the Orphis restander, and I was hunting the new order for Orphis, that the one that gives the tokens +5.
yeah,
I
yeah,
did pull the restander on my last pack, which I wasn't expecting to pull it. If I pulled it, cool. If not, oh well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll like buy the odd random pack every now and then if it's like, yeah, go, and then why not? But yeah, I always try to get the singles where possible, and I'm especially from back in the past. I've had way too many opportunities come up where it's like, it's like, oh, I could buy the card right now, and it's like, I'll wait a little bit. But then it's either one of two things: either the price will go up on the thing, or it'll just go out of stock, which has happened way too many times, and I'd like to count. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
I usually try to get the stuff like as quick as I can, essentially, just so I can have it on hand, or try to get it for at least a good enough value to where I can find it in stock somewhere. So yeah,
yeah, I know. Probably my best thing, the best. I pulled that. I pulled an SP Blade Feather Dragon. And the thing is, I don't play any decks that need it, and I try to sell it in a Discord server. But the thing is, SPs, you get one per box, I think. I'm not sure the exact ratios.
yeah, I
And I kind of like the fact that Bushiroad is giving you options to hollow out your deck.
oh yeah, I mean the change that they've made with the overdress, how it's like you've just got like triple rare to worry about for like the main base rarity stuff, but then SP and these like SSR sort of rarities. They're like the big bling that you could get, but it doesn't really matter, right? Because all of the stuff that you need from the set itself are either triple rare or below. So
Right,
and triple
and
rares aren't too bad anyway. So I mean, yeah, it's a much better system than what they did with like V and G, where it was like you had the generation rares and the Vanguard rares, where you usually need like multiple copies of them.
yeah.
Yeah, so
I
they've done a
know
better thing with this time around.
I know with the Yu-Gi-Oh, I like to have hollow extra decks. So
Oh yeah,
every card in my Rocket extra deck is hollowed out. Not max rarity, but just holographic.
yeah, some sort of foil in any
Right. I
regard,
don't.
really. Yeah.
That's what I did. I want to do that with my co-talkers as well. But the
Hmm.
problem is, the one grade two I run has no hollow printing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
damn, we've been
I mean, maybe one day with like a promo pack or something.
yeah. But anyway, guys, it's been over an hour. I didn't even notice, so I'm gonna call
Oh,
it
blimey.
here. So
Yeah,
people
didn't
aren't
realize.
falling asleep. I will be linking Guardian's channel in the description. I will also be doing the same with Black Moon. So anyway, until the next video, I will catch you guys later. See you.
All right, thank you all. Catch you later.